Well, it's been a few days. I think it's actually been a little bit more than 3 days, but yeah. Well, that wasn't supposed to pop up. There we go. Let me get rid of that. I was sort of debating on whether or not to skip anything. I had promised you that I would give you the entire Academy after talking to Ubisoft and everything. It just turns out that one of the first, I'm not sure if it's the first or second one, the videos that I started introducing you to the ChessMaster's Academy with Josh Waitzkins, I think it was actually the one that I did was over an hour long. I actually included some of the stuff that you're about to hear, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. This is the last part of your arsenal part. You know, we had the forks, the knight forks, the skewers, the pins, the removing. As you can see on your right side of the screen there. And the last thing we did was discovery. This is the mastery quiz of the arsenal. Like I said, you're going to see some repeated items. But we're going to go through the mastery quiz, and I hope I can remember, because I did go through it, but it was a couple of days ago since I did it. I was preparing to do this thing, but just so that you could see once again that the next one after we finish this is going to be the strategy. He's going to talk about pawn structure, opening principles, of course. Many schools of thought are that you should learn your openings, but Josh Waitzkins has a different approach. He tells you about them later. But in any case, you have the strategy, the endgame course, and by the time you get through this and this, you start talking about his actual games. And believe it or not, I think I linked it in my channel. I bumped into a channel on YouTube that actually played some of these. So somebody has done this before me, but they didn't do a complete thing that I'm doing. So hopefully I'm enough different that you could appreciate that. So, and there's some annotated games from Josh Waitzkins, which I don't believe I've seen all these yet. Maybe I'll look at them later for myself so that I can get prepared to show them to you. But for now, this is the second part. I mean, the video is called Part 6, but it's literally the second part of Josh Waitzkins. This is the ending of the second part of Josh Waitzkins Academy. It's called the Mastery Quiz. So without any further talking about it, let's just get to it, and here we go.
In this Mastery Quiz, you'll be asked to find combinations that include 2 or more of the tactical devices you just learned. I may not tell you in which direction to look, but you can rest assured the solution involves 1 or more of the themes you were taught in Parts 1 and 2. Sometimes the solution will involve mate, and sometimes it will involve winning or saving material. If you're having a really hard time with an exercise, just hit the hint button, and I'll tell you what themes to keep an eye out for. Good luck.
Yeah, it depends on how much I remember. We'll see how much we need that hint button.
It's black to move here. The answer involves a double attack.
Okay, it's black to move. Well, let's do my thing about flipping the board every time it's black to move. Ah, yes, I do remember this one. I want you to look at this board carefully. We want a double attack. I want you to see this bishop. If you can see the highlighted bishop with the hand cursor over it, pointing directly at that pawn, attacking that pawn that is the protecting the king. And I also want you to see this queen here. So we're looking for a double attack. Certainly, if we move that queen there, we're going to. I think I went through this before. I've actually done this with you before. So if you didn't see the video that I did before, go ahead and watch it. But like I said, I'm not going to dwell on the idea that we've done some of this before. The idea is that I am separating the specific parts of the academy in order to show you the whole thing. In the beginning, I only showed you pieces of it, and this may have been actually one of them. I remember doing this before.
Very good. Queen h5, threatening mate on h2. White has to defend with a move like h3, after which b5 forks the 2 knights. You see, the black queen was occupying the b5 square. so you freed up that square for the pawn and attacked mate with tempo. In the future, to help you out spotting pawn forks, whenever two pieces are situated like these two knights here, next to each other with one space in between, a pawn can fork them. Notice that pattern. Keep it in mind.
Okay.
It's black to move here. Mate and 2 using a discovery.
Mate and 2 using discovery. Okay, excuse me. The discovery here is the black's bishop. Okay. Obviously, our knight, we're playing black. Our knight is in the way of our bishop. So the discovery would be to move this knight. Now, I can move this knight in many places. I can move it here. If you see me shaking my mouse over here, which would attack one of the rooks. But it would be better if we could do a double check. So I believe, I'm pretty sure this is the move. Actually, I'm quite sure this is the move.
Well done. Knight c3, double check. The bishop on g6 and the knight on c3 are both attacking the king. Notice, of course, that if the black knight were to move somewhere other than c3 or d2, if it were only check one way, from the bishop on g6, then white could capture knight takes g6 with a check of his own. So after knight c3 check, the white king is forced to move to a1. What's your next move?
Okay, before I show you the next move, I want you to look at this because actually I haven't been giving you much time. I mean, you could always pause the video and look at it because this is a quiz, but because I have the software in front of me, I can take this quiz and get rated on it or whatever the software does, and you can't unless you have the software. I'm going to sort of give you a little time to look at it. In future videos, after we go through the entire academy, which I promised you, there are tests that you can take from ChessMaster to give you a rating. And I'm going to try to come up with a clever way to allow you to actually ask me, if you don't have the software, to ask me to give you the test to rate you. But it's going to be difficult because it's going to be a video in which you can play and which you can see the answers. But I'm going to work on it. I have some ideas, but I'm going to keep working on it. In the meantime, I hope you've noticed that the reason for moving this knight here is because it also protects anything from this pawn. It actually attacks this square here where this pawn is on. And you have a queen here. We have a queen here. So this is checkmate.
Excellent work. Queen takes a2, checkmate. So in positions when you have discoveries, always look for the most forcing discoveries. Double check is a great option. This is a very famous endgame position. It's white to move here. The idea, obviously, is to promote your pawn and win the black rook. Take your time. A skewer comes to play here.
Okay, it's white to move. And a skewer comes to play. I'm just going to wave my wand here so you can see what's going on.
Good work. The correct move is rook h8, a really powerful trick. So now let's review this endgame for a minute. First of all, if the black king had been on g6, we see that the white rook can get away with rook g8 check with tempo, then the king moves and b8 queen wins the game. If the black king is on f7, or e7 for that matter, then rook h8 wins the game. Because after rook takes b7, rook h7 is a skewer winning the rook. Otherwise, next move will make a queen.
I'm just going to push next.
If black checks the white king with rook b2 check, ultimately he'll run out of space. King f3, rook b3, king e2, rook b2, king d3, rook b3, king c2. Zigzagging in, the white king actively chases the rook to the b7 square, after which rook h7 again will win the rook. It turns out that in this position, if the black king is on g7 or h7, the position is drawn. The reason is, first of all, there's no check. There's no rook g8 check or rook f8 check with tempo, because if white plays rook g8 check here, black can just capture the rook and then take the pawn. Then black wins. There's no skewer also, because there's no room on the king side for the black rook to slip behind the black king. So the only way for white to try to win this position would be to bring the king towards the b7 pawn, to try to defend the pawn. Notice if this were the position, and then the white rook were to move, white would be winning. because the white king defends the b7 pawn, and next move would be to move ahead, b8, making a queen. The problem is that white can't do this. The second the white king gets to c6, black can start checking. Rook c1 check. The white king has nowhere to go. King b6, rook b1 check. King a6, rook a1 check. As long as the king stays on this half of the chessboard, black has perpetual check. If the king comes back, king b5, rook b1 check, king c4, rook c1 check, king b3, rook b1 check, king c2, now black can stay behind the passed pawn with a move like rook b5 or rook b6, doesn't really matter. And still white can't make progress. When the king comes back, king c3, rook can just come back to b1. And when the king approaches the pawn, the checks can begin again. So here you see the power of a rook behind the passed pawn. This is a rule in the endgames in chess. Rooks belong behind passed pawns. Here, the black rook is active. It can at once defend this pawn from promoting, and it can check the white king whenever the king gets close. The white rook, on the other hand, on b8, is stuck on this one square. It's in front of the pawn. If the rooks were reversed, like this, then white would win easily. The black rook can't move because the b8 queening square is defended by the white rook, and white can just bring the king into the game. King c4 to c5 to c6 to c7, and win. That's a basic theory of this position.
So he's giving you a taste of the endgame lessons, as I showed you in the beginning of this video. Very interesting stuff. Let's go next.
It's white's move here. Sacrifice to set up a powerful fork.
Okay. We're going to sacrifice to set up a powerful fork. And don't feel bad because I know this, because to tell you the truth, I totally failed this first couple of times. But I've been through this and I know it now because I've been through it and I realize it. And even now when I play, I still don't remember half this stuff. So, you know, while you're playing, it's a whole different ball game. In any case, I want you to see something. I want you to see that both of these knights, if you were to move either one of these knights, which are capable of both moving to this square on this pawn, capture this pawn, you would be threatening black's queen. Okay? The question is, or should I say, wouldn't it be nice if we can get the king on the other side of that knight's attack? Wouldn't it be nice if we can get that king over here? Then any one of these knights would fork the king and the queen. So, as the words say here, as Josh says, it's white to move, sacrifice to set up a powerful fork. A powerful fork, of course, Josh is referring to the royal fork. So how can we get this king to go here? Well, let's look at that sacrifice he was talking about. How about this rook here?
Excellent work. Rook f7 check. A good sacrifice. King takes f7. It turns out that either white knight can take on e5, but let's say knight c takes e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5 check, forking the king and the queen. Now king e6, knight takes f3, and white wins the game. So keep your eyes out for sacrifices to set up forks. It's black to move here. See the whole board. Look for a fork.
The whole board. First, let's flip the board. Then I'll see the whole board. Okay. Look for a fork. Okay. I'm trying to remember. Remembering. Looking for that fork. See the whole board. I don't remember. Oh, yes, I think. Black to move. Somebody out there is probably looking at me saying, this guy's supposed to be teaching me how to play chess. Can he see that? Okay, let me go ahead and pause this. Sometimes my own stupidity amazes me. Yes, it's the queen, of course. The queen being the most powerful piece because she can move here, she can move there. The fork is here. Sorry about that. I do miss some obvious things sometimes. It happens. And it'll happen to you too. I just wish it wouldn't happen to me so much. Well, here it is. I'll start up now.
Yep, that's it. Queen a5 check is a very powerful move, forking the king on e1 and the knight on h5. This one might have been tricky to find because you have to see the whole board. Here it's white to move and win. Don't move until you see it.
Okay, flipping the board. White to move and win. Don't move until you see it. What do you see here? Well, I'll tell you what I see. Sometimes not seeing the whole board, as the last example made me choke. It's always that long-range bishop that you always miss and you blunder because you put your queen in front of your opponent's bishop. Well, you have a bishop here. We have a bishop here. This bishop is guarding that square all the way on that corner. Okay? You with me so far? If I were to take the rook, sacrificing my queen, I would be getting that defender out of the way. Remember removing the defender? Okay? So, in doing so, bringing the queen here because the king has, I mean the king here because the king has to capture the queen, I would be able to bring my rook here. So that's my plan. I think that's the way I'm supposed to do this. Let's see what happens.
Well done. Queen takes g8,
And there it is.
sacrificing to set up a mate. King takes g8, and now what does white play? Rook h8. Checkmate. Again, I warn you against mechanical thinking. It's very easy to never even consider moves like queen takes g8. But if you notice the patterns, notice the bishop and the rook honing in on the h8 square, the knight on d6 guarding the f7 square, you'll start to feel the black king is in danger. Then you'll find a move like queen takes g8. Often we have a sense in chess that there's something in the position, long before we actually find what that something is. It's white to move here. Again, see the whole board.
Okay, so in that last example, there was stuff on the other side of the board that sometimes we get, like remember I mentioned in my earlier videos, you know, I have a habit of getting tunnel vision, and all of us do sometimes, some worse than others. If you have that many pieces out there, sometimes there's something, you know, you don't want to get rid of the queen. Oh no, you know, why would I sacrifice the queen? But you know what? Sometimes it's the most brilliant thing to do because it's the thing that's holding back the whole checkmate combination. Okay, so it's white to move here again. See the whole board. All right, so what am I looking at? All right, this knight is guarding this square where this queen could go. This bishop is attacking this pawn. It would be nice if I could open this up. I didn't see this one, or I brushed through too quickly. If anybody wants to make a comment, you know, on this video and this part, and if you want to yell at me saying how could you be so blind, you go right ahead. I don't mind, really. In the meantime, I'm going to figure this out. What am I missing? What am I doing wrong here? Okay. Is there anything pinned? Unfortunately, I don't see any pins. Okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Very good. Rook takes g4, an excellent
I was
sacrifice.
right.
H takes g4, and now do you see the fork? Queen h2 check, going after the king on h8 and the rook on b8 on the opposite side of the board. White wins. Here it's black to move. What do you think?
Well, I'm glad I was able to show you that last one. I know it took me a little time, but it wasn't a pin I was looking for. I should have been looking for a fork. So I missed the fork, but I got the right piece. So apparently somewhere in my head I knew the answer. Let's go ahead and flip this board because it is black to move. Alright, let's look at this carefully, all of us. Number one, I see this pawn is being attacked by our bishop. Don't forget that the queen is also there, attacking black to move, so the black is attacking that queen. We don't really want to trade queens right now, do we? I don't think so. Okay. Right. I see. This is what I think. Yeah, Josh asks us what we think. Here's what I think. I think that I can win the white's queen. How do I do that? How about we take this pawn with the bishop, put the king in check. If the rook takes, we have the queen for free. Here we go.
Way to go. Bishop takes c2 check. A great move, removing the defender. White has no choice but to take on c2 with the rook, and now obviously queen takes e1 check. The rook on c1 isn't guarding it anymore. Black wins the queen. Okay, in this position it's white to move. You have to combine a sacrifice, a pin, and a fork to win material. Take your time.
Well, so when we take our time, or at least when I take my time, I do figure it out. So I hope you realized the last position I managed to win the queen. Okay, so this one is white to move. I need to combine a sacrifice, a pin, and a fork in order to win material. A sacrifice, a pin, and a fork. I got it. Actually, I've seen this one. I went over this one without some of the other ones being, I had to take more time on because I didn't see them as often. But this one I went over a couple of times, and I remember it.
Very good. Rook d takes d7. A very strong move. After bishop takes d7, what does white play? Now the point is that the bishop is pinned to the black king by the rook on h7, so it can't move. What is white's best move?
You see it? You see your knight, our knight? A royal fork, because the bishop cannot take the knight.
Excellent work. Here white has knight e6 check, a powerful fork, winning the black queen. Again, we're training your chess intuition here. Whenever you see a king and a queen set up like this, with only one square apart, a knight fork might be in the air. Look for it. Let's continue with this position. Let's say that after rook d takes d7 check, black doesn't capture, but tries to run away instead. Let's say king b8. What should white do here? I don't want you to just play one move. Take your time. You have forced mate in 3 moves. What is it?
I think I went over this with you in another video. Didn't I talk about the similarities of the pinwheel attack? I mean the pinwheel. The windmill attack?
You got it. Rook takes b7 check. King a8. Now mate in 2. We can't forget about this bishop on h1.
Well, I can go anywhere, really. I'd like to go here, but I don't know. How about here?
No, that's not quite right.
Ooh.
Try again.
Now we're gonna let Josh remind me what it is.
Now rook takes a7 check
Oh, there we
is
go.
a double check. The bishop on h1
Forgot.
and the rook on
Double
a7
check.
are both checking because of discovery from the bishop. The king has to move, but of course the rook on h7 is guarding his other rook on a7. Black has to play king b8. Now what do you do?
Okay. So I forgot about the double check. But anyway, we're gonna be doing the same thing as the windmill attack.
No, that's not quite right.
Really?
Try again.
Really? Really? I'm making a lot of mistakes here. Okay. Sure. Oh, duh. Checkmate.
Well done. Here there are two checkmates. The first is rook h to b7. The king has nowhere to go. And the other mate is rook to a8 mate. This one is particularly nice because the bishop on h1 guards the rook all the way on the opposite corner of the board. And the rook on h7 cuts off the 7th rank. Black is in checkmate. White wins the game. Black's position looks rough here, but he has mate in 2. I actually used this tactic quite a bit when I was younger. Take your time. Black to move, force mate in 2.
Before we do that, since I botched that last one up, let's go back and play it over again, only quickly this time.
Now rook takes a7 check. We can't forget about this bishop on h1.
Okay, here we go.
Well done. Now rook takes a7 check is a double check. The bishop on h1 and the rook on a7 are both checking because of discovery from the bishop. The king has to move, but of course the rook on h7 is guarding his other rook on a7. Black has to play king b8. Now what do you do?
Okay, let's do the other checkmate this time. Let's see what happens. Let's see what Josh tells us.
Well done. Here there are two checkmates. The first is rook h to b7. The king has nowhere to go. And the other mate is rook to a8 mate. This one is particularly nice because the bishop on h1 guards the rook all the way on the opposite corner of the board. And the rook on h7 cuts off the 7th rank. Black is in checkmate. White wins the game. Black's position looks rough here, but he has mate in 2. I actually used this tactic quite a bit when I was younger. Take your time. Black to move, force mate in 2.
Okay. Flipping the board. Alright. Forced mate in 2. Alright, got it. I think. Yes. The beauty about the knights, some of you may not have gotten used to it yet. Some of you that have been with me from the beginning that didn't even hardly knew how to play chess. Here's the reason why I think, and it's, you know, my opinion differs from some grandmasters, and some grandmasters' opinions also differ with other grandmasters. That is, I think the knight is actually worth a little bit more than the bishop. Some people think to the contrary. Greats like Kasparov, I think, even thought to the contrary. But here's the one reason, and the thing is that you really have to be good at working the knights, which I'm not. So my goal is to become better at working the knights. But let me show you something. Force mate in 2. Queen sacrifice. Would you think about doing this?
Good move. The solution to this problem is called a smothered mate. Queen g1 check is how you begin. This looks strange because the rook can obviously capture the queen. Note, the king can't capture it because the knight on h3 defends that square. After rook takes g1 though, the white king has nowhere to go. So knight f2 check is a beautiful move. Checkmate, a smothered mate. Here you can really see the power of the knight, the only piece that can jump over other pieces. Mates the white king alone.
Okay. So there you have it. Smothered mate.
It's white to move here. This one might be difficult to spot. You have to set up a fork.
White to move. Set up a fork. So this is one of those moves that, while I'm playing a game, I always miss. I would never see this. If it wasn't for the fact that this was the mastery quiz and I went over it, I would never, you know, I say never, I shouldn't say never, but fact is, I wouldn't see this. I'm supposed to set up a fork. So maybe I can start thinking like this. And as I'm teaching, as I'm showing you these videos, and as I'm going through this Josh Waitzkin's Academy, we're learning together. I'm learning as much as I'm hoping to teach you. I'm also learning. So what if I want to say I want to put the king in check, okay? But wouldn't it be nice if black's queen was here? So how do I get black's queen to go here? Like this.
Good job. Bishop b4. A very strong move. The black queen has nowhere to go but to capture that bishop. Queen takes b4. Now white to move. Do you see the win? Knight a6 check. A royal fork. Hitting the black king on b8 and the queen on b4. White's going to win the queen. Because of this tactic, we refer to the bishop on b4 as being indirectly defended by the knight on c5. It's white to move here and win a pawn. You can take advantage of black's pin.
Okay, so like I said, I would never see these things, or even to this day, as I play Chess Titans, for example, you know, I'm casually playing and I'm not seeing all these things. So hopefully we're learning together. All right, so take advantage of black's pin. Okay, black's pin is here. So how can I take advantage of that? I mean, if I was playing Chess Titans or something and then I got into this position, I might be thinking about moving this knight to here. That's not taking advantage of the pin. Josh is asking us to take advantage of the pin. I don't remember this one. Oh, wait, I do remember it. Now, here's a move. I do remember this. Here's a move I would never, ever even consider. And I'm still not sure why. But I do remember that this particular test, and I did this earlier to prepare for this. I would never consider this, but here it is.
Very good. Knight takes e5. A shocking and very strong move.
Shocking.
Black has two options here. He can either take the queen on d1, which is obviously the tempting move, or he can play d takes e5. First of all, if black plays d takes e5, then white can play queen takes g4, and white's won a pawn. Sometimes you can turn your opponent's pin into your discovery. But black has a much more tempting move. After knight takes e5, what black wants to do is bishop takes queen on d1. Knight on f3 after all was pinned. But what does white have in mind here? In this position is a beautiful mate in two. Take your time. Do you see it?
Okay. So, again, there was no way I would have done that. I play Chess Titans on level 7 all the time, and I'm getting beaten sometimes and winning sometimes, but I would have never thought of doing something like that, letting the black take my queen. But there it is. Now, I have a choice here. Do I take this pawn with the knight, forking black's queen and black's rook, or do I take this pawn with my bishop, our bishop, putting black in check? So what is the answer? If I did that, black could only move there, and how would I put him in check again? Yes. Yes. I would right now. I'm tempted to fork black's queen and black's rook. You see that, right? With the knight. Black can't take because of the bishop. But there's better. If I took with the knight, with the bishop here, black has to move. And then I have my knight, or we have our knight. So I'm going to do that. Let's see if I'm right.
Yep, that's it. Bishop takes
There it
f7
is.
check. The d7 square is defended by the white knight on e5, so black has to play king e7. Now mate in 1, knight d5, checkmate. A beautiful central attack. White's 3 minor pieces go after the black king and win the game. Once again, I warn you against mechanical thinking. It's very easy to see that knight on f3 and think it can never move. Always look for a way to get out of a pin with tempo. In this position, knight takes e5 turned the tables on black's pin.
As Josh is continuing saying, try to fight against the mechanical thinking. He warned you against mechanical thinking. And the mechanical thinking was, oh, we can't move our knight because he'll take our queen. And in fact, that was, in fact, the best move. All right, so we're on page 22 of 27, so let's not try to make this video too long. Let's go to next.
This position is actually from a game I played in the New York City Elementary School Championship in 1988. My opponent was a boy named Nicholas Proudfoot. He had the white pieces, I was black. Here I have forced mate in 4. Take your time, black to move. You just learned the critical idea in the last exercise.
Black to move, flipping the board. Okay. Let's listen to him again.
This position is actually from a game I played in the New York City Elementary School Championship in 1988. My opponent was a boy named Nicholas Proudfoot. He had the white pieces, I was black. Here I have forced mate in 4. Take your time, black to move. You just learned the critical idea in the last exercise.
Okay, my first idea is that I want to put white in check. To do that, we have a knight here. Yes, that is my clock chiming the hour. I guess you noticed it was 10 o'clock. So anyway, I want to put the king in check. The king would have no choice but to move. I would move my knight. Discovered check. Okay? Do you see it? I see checkmate. Let's do it. Let's see if I'm right.
Good job. First, knight f2 check. King g1. Now it's mate in 3 for black. Take your time, play the best move. Notice, of course, the black knight can move anywhere it wants to with discovered check, but there's only one way to force mate. You see it?
And double check.
Good move. Knight h3 check. King h1. Now it's forced mate in 2. Take your time. What is it?
Good question. You see, I'm having trouble with this one because if I move my queen here, actually that is it. It's just like before. It's going to be a smothered mate. Here we go. See, again, I'm afraid to lose my queen. Oh no, don't lose the queen, but guess what?
Excellent work. A queen sacrifice. Queen g1 check. Very similar to what we just saw. The knight on h3 guards the queen on g1, so the king can't capture. But white's knight on f3 can take it. Knight takes g1, and now do you see the smothered mate? Knight f2, checkmate, and black wins the game. I actually went on to win this tournament. This was a very important tactic for me. Now, returning to the original position for a second, let's take a look. I just want you to notice that, of course, black couldn't initially play queen g1, because white can play king takes g1. The whole idea of the initial 2 moves, knight f2 check, king g1, knight h3 check, was that after king h1, queen g1, the white knight has to capture, smothering its own king. Of course, after knight h3 double check, white could also have played king f1. Do you see the mate in 1 here? It's a support mate. Queen f2. The knight on h3 also guards the f2 square, and black wins the game here. The reason I gave you the last exercise first is because you may have had more trouble with that one than with this one, even though this one was much more complicated. I want you to recognize the importance of learning patterns and then applying those patterns to other situations. Now for your last exercise, an extra challenge.
So again, maybe when you're playing a game don't beat yourself up over the idea that you didn't remember this stuff, because I do it all the time. I'm over here giving you these videos, and just earlier today, before I made this video, I was playing Chess Titans on level 7 and did not remember to do some of these things, because it was always that fear of losing the queen. Oh no, don't lose the queen. And you don't know how many times that I wish I remembered where it was that I was supposed to do that. So again, we're learning together. So last one, oops, sorry about that. Last one.
This problem is really hard, and it involves thinking backwards. The first thing you should notice is that all of black's pieces are aiming at the king. You see the bishop on b7, the bishop on d6, the knight on d4, the queen on d7. They're all sweeping this way, towards the king's side. So you should immediately sense that there's a way for you to win here. Black can put these elements together to mate the white king. So when you see this type of situation, where all of the pieces are aiming at the king, your instincts should go off, your alarm bell should ring. There's a way to win here. Take your time. What do you see? It's very tempting in this type of situation to just run at the king, to try to play knight e2 check, or knight f3 check, or queen takes h3, sacrifice something, attack. A lot of people think that attacking chess is all about rushing forward, but it's not. Usually, to be successful against a strong opponent, an attack has to be very methodical. Here, there's one white piece, the knight on c3, which is guarding the e2 square, which turns out to be quite critical. With that in mind, find black's strongest idea.
Okay, so again, without Josh telling me that that knight was guarding that square, I would not have gotten this. In fact, I had to go over this about 3 times before I finally got it. So don't feel bad. I myself kicked myself in the butt, because I beat myself up over the idea that I wish I see these things when I'm playing casual chess, because I don't. But fact is that Josh gave us the answer. Wouldn't it be nice if we can put black in check right now? And as Josh said, and he's showing you with this highlighted square, that knight is protecting that square, or is guarding that square. So what if we got rid of that knight?
Well done. The first move is a sacrifice. Rook takes c3. White plays queen takes c3. Now it's your turn. Forced mate in 2. Black to move. Very good. The idea of taking on c3 was to remove the defender of the e2 square.
And there it is.
So black plays knight e2 check, king h1. Did you see the mate here? Here you use a pin. The g2 pawn, in fact, can't move, because the bishop on b7 is now pinning it to the king on h1. So black can play queen takes h3 check, and in fact, that's not just check, it's mate. Black wins the game because of a fantastic pin. So this last problem involved sacrificing to remove the defender to open up a deadly pin to deliver checkmate. That's how we combine critical ideas to win chess games. Congratulations! Now you're in possession of a tactical foundation that you can build on for the rest of your chess playing days. Remember, these ideas we just studied are the building blocks of nearly every complex chess creation. As you grow as a chess player, you'll learn how to combine the very themes we just discussed to orchestrate beautiful, harmonious attacks. Now we're ready to enter the subtle world of chess strategy.
I'm going to scroll this down so that you can see what he just spoke while I tell you. Mind you, you may not have had that bishop there and that bishop there. If you didn't, this would not be checkmate. But perhaps you can get your strategy to such a level where you intended to have that bishop there. I haven't. So, I mean, these are positions that they set up for us to learn with. So, I'm going to end it here, but I'm also going to give you a taste of the next part, so that we can make our next video. And my next video, like I did in a couple of videos before this, I gave you a taste of the next one to come. So I'm going to click the end, and you see it says Mastery Quiz. This is the last part of the arsenal. The next part of this ChessMaster Josh Waitzkin's Academy is strategy. So I'm going to give you the introduction, and then we're going to end this video. And in the next video, part 7, I'll give you this again. So here it is.
Now we're prepared to plunge into a deeper layer of chess, strategical thinking. Part of the reason I call chess the black and white jungle is because chess positions can sometimes seem alien and foreboding, with danger lurking in every crevice. Other times the game can feel lush and natural, the moves coming to us like raindrops, steadily falling into our minds as if from nowhere. The key to feeling at ease within the complexities of diverse chess positions is to have an understanding of the operating principles that govern all scenarios. Then the moves can spring out of our intuitions like magic, and chess can become a thrilling, artistic experience. In Part 3 of the Academy, we'll discuss critical chess principles that can serve as beacons for long-term strategical thinking in positions that might otherwise seem devoid of logic. After this part of the Academy, you'll have a sense of direction in virtually any chess situation because you'll have an eye for its essential components. Like the tactics we discussed in Part 2, the strategical ideas we're about to take on are the building blocks to the most advanced chess ideas. Soak them in, and you'll be on your way.
And there you go. I'll let you soak that part in. I hope you enjoyed this video. This will be replayed in the next part. Now, mind you, this is part 3 of his Academy. It is part 6 of my presentation. So don't get confused over the nomenclature of my videos versus the names of the actual Academy pieces. We are going into the next video will be part 7 of the comprehensive guide. My videos are called the comprehensive guide. Chess lessons, a comprehensive guide. It'll be part 7 of my videos, but it is in fact part 3 of Josh Waitkin's Chess Academy. Keep on playing, keep on practicing, and I hope you enjoyed this video.